Welcome to the screencast of Increase Your Productivity with IntelliJ. My name is Pim Hazebroek and I will show you some tips and tricks on how to increase your productivity with IntelliJ. As you see, my IntelliJ window is quite clean. I have disabled and hidden all the toolbars and windows. I'm by the way using the 2017.3 version, which is released today. So you're ready to download it. I am performing all the actions with my keyboard shortcuts, and when I do so, you will see a pop-up at the bottom showing the shortcut for both macOS, Windows and Unix. Alright, let's get started. I have an application, an API and a client. The API is a Spring Boot application with a Java backend, and the client is an Angular application with powered by NPM. I have some run configurations enabled. I want to run them from IntelliJ itself. I can add them on the fly if I want, but I already did that before. You can add a Spring Boot run configuration, NPM for Angular for example, but also Maven and a whole lot of other run configurations. Alright. I can open the run pop-up with this command, and then I can type the name of the job that I want to run. For example, the run API. And when I do so, it will open in the run dashboard. This is a new feature in 2017.3. In the previous version, they introduced the run dashboard only for Spring Boot, but now it's open for all other run types as well. As you see, it will now start the application on the background. Here it started. So the client is already running. So let's go to the browser and open the client. Here it is. Okay. This is the Tour of Heroes tutorial from Angular. I'm not going to explain the tutorial itself, but I will show you how it works a little bit. So I can add some heroes. Let's add myself and some awesome colleagues of mine. They really built very great software here at Backbase. Alright. So I was able to add some heroes. Very nice. Let's see if they are actually stored in a database. I have configured my Spring Boot application to start with MySQL, not the embedded database. The MySQL database is running in Docker. IntelliJ has a plugin for Docker integration that links with the Docker service on your machine, which I pre-configured. And here you can see I have a SonarQube container and a MySQL container that are running. Alright, let's have a look on the database window. Here I see the Tour of Heroes schema with the hero table. And there it is. Here are the 3 heroes that I've added. And just to prove it's real life, here we go. That's the view of the database fully integrated in IntelliJ. I use the Ultimate Edition, so that's also using the data grip full capability of the database. If you're using the Community Edition, this will be very limited though. Alright, let's do some actual coding. Let's hide all the toolbars. There we go. Now I want to open a file. Let's say, for example, the hero service. I can type only a couple capital letters, and it will automatically find those files for me. And I can press enter and it opens the file for me. Alright, so here's the method to create a hero. Let's say, for example, I want to validate the name of the hero. So I write a regular expression for it. This regular expression is somewhat complicated, but it doesn't highlight anything or whatsoever, so it's hard to read. IntelliJ has an inject language feature, and that allows you to inject any kind of language in a certain file, for example SQL, JSON, regular expressions, and many others. So let's go for the regex. Here we go. And we see we automatically get color highlighting. And now it also recognizes some issues with the regular expressions that I can simplify, for example. Alright, it also has a nice feature to be able to check the regular expression. This regular expression forces me to start the name with a capital letter, character, and then proceed it with at least 2 lowercase characters or numbers. So F01 should not be accepted, but F with a capital should be accepted. And same goes with lowercase, but not with uppercase. Alright. Say we want to write this, this validation of the name for the superhero. Alright, so we will start with an if statement, but it's not a regular if statement, it's a negated if statement. So with the exclamation mark. I don't have to write it myself because IntelliJ has some live templates for this. And in fact, this is one of the custom templates that I've defined myself. I can write if exclamation mark and then press tab, and it will automatically expand the live template for me. So now I can actually start to write the regular expression match. If I press the dot, it will automatically open the autocomplete, the code complete pop-up, which can also be invoked automatically with control space, for example. Alright, oops, that's too bad. Let's go back. So, matches. So here I get the regular expression, for example, and the name that I want to check. And as you can see, now I want to jump into the if statement, and I can do that with the arrows, of course. But you can also complete the statement with Command-Shift-Enter, and it will automatically, if there are no braces, for example, it will add them automatically. Let's get an example. There it is. So it auto-completes the statement and puts the cursor there where you want it to be. Now I want to throw an exception. There's also a built-in template for that. It again saves a few characters, so that's really nice. I have let me show you. I have a bad name exception here in my package, which I want to include. But let's go back to the source. Oh, by the way, if you are focused in one of the two windows, you can press escape and it will go back to the editor again. So let's add the bad name exception. There we go. I only type in the capital name characters of the class, and it will automatically recognize that I'm looking for the bad name exception. Alright, I want to give a smart, clear message to this exception. So I'm going to use string.format. I have defined a live template for that as well. Let's expand it. It jumps to the second parameter automatically, where I need to give the parameters of the format. And then when I press enter, it will jump to the quoted string, where I can actually type the message. Bad name, for example. And you see that it recognizes that there are too many arguments for the formatted string. And if I give the argument, then it will recognize it. It's okay. Alright. Now it says it's an unhandled exception, because the bad name exception is a checked exception. So let's add the method signature that throws the exception. Of course I can do that by hand, but IntelliJ also allows to do that automatically for me. If you press the option enter to show the intents, it will show you the add exception to method signature option. Let's give it a go, and there it goes. Alright, really nice. Now I want to go to the hero controller, for example. Here we see that it now is complaining about this unhandled exception. Of course I can throw it in the method signature, but let's wrap this code and surround it with a try-catch. There's the surround with shortcut for, and it shows a lot of options, and I want to use the try-catch, for example. I can navigate with the arrow keys, you can click it with the mouse, or you can press the number that is highlighted before it, for example 6 in this case. It automatically wraps the code with the try-catch. In this case I don't really want the print stack trace, but I want to log something with a logger. Unfortunately, the logger is not available, so let's head back to the top of the file and add this very nice Lombok annotation. The Lombok annotation automatically injects a logger for you. You also require the Lombok plugin for this to work in your IDE. And if you want to go back to the code, you can also navigate back to the location where you were editing, so you don't have to manually click them. Alright, so now let's write some message. Save failed. Alright. I still need to throw the exception, of course. There we go. Alright, so let's head back to the hero service. I also have an enum with superpower. And I want to create a switch statement around it. Alright, this gets me somewhere. But let's add all the missing switch branches that are available. Again, with the show intention actions through Option Enter or Alt Enter, you open the menu and it will add all these branches for me. Well, this is not a real good example, but it does provide a good example to show the next nice feature they have. You can select, for example, some text with Ctrl-G, and you can select the next occurrence. And you see I get multiple blinking cursors. I can even select all the occurrences, and now I have a multi-line cursor, which allows me to write text at multiple locations at once. Alright. Now let's go back to a single cursor. Let's say, for example, I want to extract this piece of code and put it in a separate method, because this is very distracting and not making it very better to read. I can select, of course, the whole code myself, but I can also increase and extend the selection. I can do that with Option and arrow key or Ctrl-V. You can also go back by, of course, with Shift or arrow down, until I've selected the whole switch statement that I want to extract. I can extract this to a separate method with the very handy shortcut Option Command M. M stands for method. You can do the same for field with F, C for constant, P for param, and V for variable. Alright, let's give it a name. I know it's not the best name, but as you can see, it extracts the method, puts it down below the current method, and replaces it with the method call. Alright, very nice. Now let's go to the test. I can create a test myself, but I can also choose for create new test if it's not there yet. And with this shortcut, with Shift Command T, I can switch easily to the test, so I don't have to locate it myself. I can just navigate up and forward. There we go. Let's add a test here. Again, this is a live custom template. Test get heroes. You see, I can type the name and then I press enter and it will automatically jump inside the method for me. Alright. When hero service dot get heroes. Wait, it doesn't know when. Well, that's nice. It's a method, it's a static method, and I have blacklisted all the other options that are available, and because there's only one single static method still available on the class path that can be imported, IntelliJ automatically suggests this suggestion, and I can press Option Enter and it will automatically statically import this for me. Alright, let's complete it, then return. Yeah. Let's do this as list. What was it? Hero builder. This is, by the way, also a Lombok annotated feature to get the builder on an object. Let's give it a name. This is my test hero. Alright, then let's build it. There we go. In this case, it doesn't know the as list, and there are multiple options, so I need to import static method manually myself. Here's the whole list, so I need to select the one that I want. It cannot automatically import it because there's multiple options. Alright, but as you see, there's only one hero, so perhaps as list was not the best option available. And it automatically suggests to replace it with a singleton list, which is very nice. Let's replace it. Alright, there we go. Now I've written the when statement. Let's save the file so it automatically cleans up the import statements. It doesn't do that automatically like Eclipse does. They have moved that to the commit window, which is not really nice because if you don't use version control, then you're not going to use the commit dialog and you won't miss the feature. So there's a Save Actions plugin available to mimic the same behavior as Eclipse to clean up your imports and format your code for you. Alright. So now let's invoke the service, hero service, get heroes. Of course, I want to validate the value that it returns. And with the extract method that we saw before, I can also do the same and extract this as a variable. It even suggests to do all occurrences of the code, but in this case I want this occurrence only. There we go. It suggests the name automatically for me. That's really nice. Okay, so let's assert the heroes list that I got from the service. Again, this is a custom live template that I've added. Assert that, which we really like to use. So I want to assert the heroes. You see it does automatically complete this code for me. So here we go for heroes. And we want the size, for example. And then it automatically jumps to the second argument, which is is. Alright, very nice. There we go. Let's run this test and see if it works. You can click on the side to run a test. You can click on the name and say to run the test. But if you are inside or select somewhere in the code, you can also use this keyboard shortcut to actually run this test. If you're outside of the scope of a single method but inside the class, it will run all the tests in that class. Oh boy, there's something wrong. Yes, of course. I have not injected the mock of the hero service. And if I do this, it will also complain about a missing dependency, which is another nice live template that I have. And you can see here it lists all the possible arguments that I can check. This one, for example. Alright. So let's also add a mock private hero repository. And usually I give the same name as the type, so I press Ctrl space for autocomplete. Here we go. Right. Now I can rerun the test and I can move to the test, of course, but I can also go to the run window by selecting Command 4 and then press the Command R button to rerun the last test. Alright, there we go. Oh, looking good, very nice. Alright. Now I've made some changes, I've written some code. Let's make some more changes. Say, for example, I want to swap the parameters of the createHero method. It's not that big of a deal in this case because there's only one call from the hero controller, but say, for example, imagine we have dozens and dozens of locations where we actually call this code. And if you swap the parameters, that will require many method calls to be changed. We can do that automatically for us. I don't know this shortcut by hand, so I'm gonna look the find actions, change signature. Ah, there it is. Command F6 to refactor the script. Alright, I get a list of all the parameters that I'm here, and I want to swap them location. You can do that with the arrow key here, or with the shortcut option and an arrow down and arrow up, of course. Let's refactor this. And now if I go back to the hero controller, I see now it uses the superpower and then the name. And if I do it back, first name, then superpower. Here we go, first name, then superpower. So that's really nice. Alright. Say for example I want to commit this code in version control. There's a very nice shortcut to open a quick list with all the version control options that are available. It's very conveniently called Ctrl-V. I can commit, I can revert, I can create branches, etc. So let's go to the branches. Mind that I've added the Command B shortcut myself. I want to create a new branch. Of course I can just type new branch. Foo is already existing, so let's add foo2. Alright, press enter. Now it created a branch foo2. However, I have two repositories, and it did automatically create that branch on all the repositories that are available, and it synchronizes those branches. And you can see here in the common local branches, these are all the branches that are available on every repository, so it's easy to switch all repositories at once to the same branch, which is really nice if you have cross-repository features that you're working on in a multi-module project. Alright. Of course, I can also commit with the shortcut Command K, for example. There we go. Here are the options that I mentioned before with the Save Actions plugin. They are moved to this before commit dialog, where you can reformat the code and rearrange code and optimize imports. Usually I only check the optimize imports. Here you can review the files that you've changed. You can see the code, for example. You can ignore, for example, white spaces, etc. And you can write some message, some description. Then you can commit, and this button allows you to commit and push all the same at once. So that's really nice. Alright, I only want to commit right now. So how do you change to a branch that is only available on a single repository? Well, that's okay. You can go to a single repository and then expand to the right. And here I will see all the local branches that are available for this repository. Sorry about that. I've prepared a nice branch here called Emmet Zen for front-enders. Let's check it out. Alright. Here I got the notification that the workspace was restored. And that is because it remembers all the files that you've opened on that branch. So that's also really nice for context switching. That's also one of the new features in 2017.3. Alright, let me show you Zen and Emmet. Zen is a set of live templates for HTML, CSS and XML, and Emmet is a special syntax to write some code and then execute that statement and generate the HTML automatically. Now let's have a look at the live templates, for example. Here are all the categories, and here you can see Zen HTML, for example. And as you can see, there are lots and lots of live templates available that makes writing HTML much easier. I can just write an exclamation mark and press tab, and it expands to the full HTML structure or form. I can also do a post form, for example, or an input, regular input, or input with a password field, for example, or a submit button. It's all supported. And if you miss something, you can also define your own. Alright, let's have a look at Emmet. This expression, div.row, creates a div with the class row. I can also create a div with a class row with a title in it, with h1, for example. And I can also give that title some content in this case. Or go even more crazier and add a paragraph beside it. And this full expression is also still valid, and it generates this piece of code. As you can see, it's really, really complicated, but also very powerful. in my experience, usually I don't write this large expressions, but especially for common HTML structures with the div, etc., it's really nice to generate it automatically for me with Zen in this case, or Emmet. All right. Let's go back to the hero service. I want to show something else. Here I have a breakpoint. You can toggle them automatically with Command F8 or Control F8. And if you press Command Shift F8, it opens a pop-up where you can add the properties of a breakpoint. For example, you can create a condition for this breakpoint. Say, for example, I only want it to trigger if the length of the name is larger than 3 in this case. Now, this is a conditional breakpoint, but it will not activate because my application is running in normal mode, but I want to run it in debug mode. So let's go to the run dialog, run API, and if I keep shift pressed in, it will switch to the debug mode automatically, and when I press it, it will restart the application in debug mode for me. Alright, you see it's rebooting. Spring Boot has, by the way, also a very nice run config that is also exposing all the endpoints for you. For example, the health, if you have the actuator dependency enabled, and a mapping. It's not visible now because it's still starting. Let's go to the console, and there it is. Here's the health, so you can see it's using MySQL. And here's the mapping, and if you, for example, click it, it automatically jumps to that mapping. Alright, let's go to the browser again, add another one. Remember that it only activates when the length of the name was larger than 3 characters. Oh, something goes wrong. Oh boy. Yeah, I think I made a mistake. Let's go back to my demo branch. There we go. I have some changes, so I just click Smart Checkout, and then it will merge something between what was actually there and with your local changes, so that's okay. Well, it's not available. Well, that's okay. Let's accept theirs. As you can see, it can also automatically show the merge conflicts for you if you switch branches, so that's also really nice. Alright, so here it is, it's checked out. So now I'm back into the clean state that was still working. Of course, I need to rebuild the code. I can build the project with Command F9 and it will rebuild all the code for me automatically. And Spring Boot has a nice feature if you run it in debug mode and you also have the developer tools, dev tools, dependency enabled, it will restart the application for you automatically and detect the changes. Alright, let's refresh. The breakpoint was still there, so that should happen. No, something is still broken. I don't know. Sometimes the reboot doesn't really help, so I have to manually restart the application. Let's do that now. You can see here's a pop-up of the Key Promoter plugin, which I can show you in the meanwhile. Key Promoter. The Key Promoter keeps track of all the actions that you perform. It shows a pop-up notification if there's a shortcut for the action, and it even keeps track of the hit list. In this case, to go to the declaration, I've pressed it 141 times without using a shortcut in this case. Alright, let's hide this view. Let's try again. No error this time. That should be okay. Yes, there it goes. Alright. Of course, now I'm I lost my breakpoint because I switched branch, so let's add it again. Name.length larger than 3. Let's prove it's still not working. There we go. Let's add bar. That should do. Add bar 2. Should not work. There we go. Here it is. It's also very nice to add a watch, for example. Say, for example, you have a very complicated hierarchy and you want to keep watch on a certain variable. You can click it, say add watch, and it will show you here at the top. Well, not in this case, but for regular values, that should work. And if you are halted on a breakpoint, you can also execute any code that you can think of in this context, actually. There's this option here for the evaluate, and it shows all the options that are available in this context. So for example, I want to go to the hero repository and say find all. Not a problem. Here it goes. You can even call save. Hero builder name. It's already there. Test. Build. There it is. And it also has some history, so if I go back to find all, there we go. There it is. So that's really, really nice if you want to debug something smarter. Alright. Yeah, let's have a look at the plugins. Alright. These are the custom plugins that I've installed. I have a UUID generator. If you do a lot of it, UUIDs, this is really nice to generate UUIDs. The save actions, to have an Eclipse-like style to organize imports and format code on save. The Lombok plugin, if you're familiar with the Lombok is a framework that allows you to add annotations that will translate to boilerplate code, like getters, setters, toString, etc. The key promoter, as I've just shown, shows a list of all the hotkeys that you've missed. The Docker integration, this is a default IntelliJ plugin, but it's not enabled by default, so you need to download it and install it. And grep console, last but not least, is a very nice plugin to colorize your input, which I can show you. If you go to the console, you will get this marker. And here, for example, it will, these are the default ones, it will colorize the output of the console, which is very nice if you have an error, for example, like this. Alright. And last but not least, in the help menu there's a productivity guide. Then it will show you all the features that are available for productivity. So you can browse that to get some inspiration. And you can see that the basic code completion is still my most favorite option that I used over 15,000 times. That's really nice. Alright, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. Feel free to contact me if you have any questions within the comments or for example through LinkedIn. Thanks again and happy coding.